Okay, so good morning or afternoon, evening, wherever you are. So this live is going to be talking about pH, the alkaline diet, and whether or not food has a significant impact on our pH. So first of all, it's important to say that our pH is extremely important. So your blood should be 7.35 to 45, depending on if it's in arteries, veins, or where it is, and different stuff. If it gets much outside of that, you will be very ill and potentially die. You have very narrow windows. So the first thing we have to ask ourselves is when somebody says we need to be more alkaline, we need to talk about where in our body, because our body's pH needs to be different depending on where it is. So yes, the blood needs to be very slightly alkaline. The stomach needs to be extremely acidic. The skin needs to be acidic. So the pH of the body varies depending upon what part of the body that we are talking about. Okay, so that's our first question. What part of the body are we talking about? Often what people are talking about is the urine, and of course the urine can be changed very easily with food, with bicarbonate of soda or anything alkaline like that, or you can change it by the moment, but that doesn't really have any relationship to what your body is actually excreting stuff that your body doesn't want, doesn't need, whatever. When we're looking at our urine or our saliva even, that can be changed like the wind and really doesn't have a bearing on the fundamental systems in the body, such as the blood. Um, it's really when people are measuring those things, they are indicators of stuff going on in the body, but that's not our pH. Okay, so I think we have to talk about the blood really. It's that the blood is the part of our body which the window is so tiny and it's so important. Okay, so that's the first thing that I've got to say. So the second thing then is, what part, if any, does food have on the pH of our blood? And the truth is, it has very little. Okay, so you could look at people like, for example, the Inuits who eat pretty much meat, fat, blubber, that kind of thing. You're going to find that they have their blood around 7.35 to 7.45. So they're not acidic, even though they're eating foods that many Facebook memes would tell you would make you acidic. There's a lot of disinformation around. So we're designed to eat foods that, okay, let's call them foods that have an acidic ash and foods that have an alkaline ash. So once they're metabolized and burnt, they move. They're either acidic or slightly alkaline. So that's true. Although there's questions about, if you look at the list that are supposedly alkaline foods, you'll find that the same foods are sometimes called alkaline and sometimes called acidic. So there's not even any real certainty on that. But here's the thing: listen, we're designed to eat foods from all food groups, some that you would maybe call acidic like meats, and some that you maybe call alkaline like vegetables, and our body has no problem whatsoever with that, and your body will regulate your pH through various mechanisms. So the idea that your food has a major impact is very, very false. So what does have an impact? Okay, well, first of all, the primary mechanism, you have got multiple systems that help to buffer acidity in your body, because acidity in your body is normal part of metabolism. It's a normal part of digestion. If you exercise, you're going to create acidity. In fact, the people who are like so pro alkalinity, really, if they're going to be consistent when they say don't eat meat, they should also say don't exercise. Okay, because exercise causes acidity. If you really exercise strong, you get a buildup of something called lactic acid. Okay, so it really makes no sense. This is natural. We're supposed to have this. We have systems to deal with it. So let me just briefly talk about one of the key systems. So the thing that can change your pH faster than anything else, if you were, let's say you were too acidic and you wanted to bring that down, the last thing you would do is try and eat vegetables or something to alter your blood pH. That's just not going to work. But you can change your blood pH in 60 seconds. Okay, how do you do that? Through breathing techniques. Because when you breathe in, okay, and you have oxygen, which is then utilized, and you get two waste products. We call them waste products. They're not really waste products, but you get something called carbonic acid. Okay. Well, you get carbon dioxide, which is made then into two things. Carbonic acid is one of the things, an acid which you absolutely need, because the carbonic acid is the trigger for your next breath. Okay, so you don't think about breathing. Okay, you don't have to plan your next breath. It just happens automatically, and the trigger is carbonic acid, which comes. It's part of what happens as a consequence of the last breath. You get carbonic acid, and the other thing that you get is bicarbonate. Okay, not sodium bicarbonate, but bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is created as a consequence of breathing, and that bicarbonate is then going to be used to buffer acidity. It's a natural process. So you make your own bicarbonate through respiration, which is going to buffer acidity. So the kind of acidity which is natural, like your diet, like exercise, is all within the natural realms, and is all totally coped with from the body's natural mechanisms. Okay, so there's no problem whatsoever with eating whatever food, whether it be meat, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, whatever. All of that is part of a omnivore diet. We're omnivores, and is natural and normal, and isn't going to create any problem whatsoever. Your body is going to keep your pH correct in your stomach, in your blood, etc. It's going to do that, especially in the blood. Now, what happens when it doesn't? Because there are reasons why it might become too acidic or too alkaline. And by the way, alkalinity is worse than acidity. You're more likely to die if you're too alkaline than if you're too acidic, because your body has much better coping mechanisms for acidity than it does for alkalinity. Okay, but that's a side note. So, what is it that causes excess acidity? Is it meat? No. Well, what is it? Is it too much exercise? No. What is it? What causes over acidity that goes beyond your body's ability to buffer it is toxins. Okay, toxins are the prime cause of excess acidity that your body might be struggling to deal with. So, more important than what food you're eating is how toxic is your food. So, if you're eating, let's say, alkaline so-called foods like plants, but they're heavily sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, they're going to be making you acidic. Not the food, but what they're sprayed with, the toxins that are added to it. So the single best way of not becoming too acidic is to avoid toxins. That's the best thing that you can do. If you avoid toxins, you can be eating whatever you want. You will not be too acidic. However, avoiding toxins is a real challenge because we are bombarded with toxins. So after you've avoided all that you can, the next best thing that you can do is help your body remove toxins with things like nanozeolite and so on, which I talk about in other videos. So you want to be helping your body, drinking enough pure water. Distilled water is the most solvent, the best water for removing toxins. So you want to be removing your toxins because that is the real cause of excess acidity. Okay, the whole push to plants is coming from the New World Order agenda. They want us eating plants only because it's not a healthy long-term diet. Veganism is not healthy. It's great short term as an elimination diet. It's going to be a very cleansing diet. So you might, many people get real benefits in the short term, just the same as people that do an elimination diet where they only eat meat. We see people healing from diabetes and all kinds of stuff who just eat meat. Okay, and we see the same with just eat vegetables. Okay, or don't eat anything at all. Some people, I have a friend that did a 38-day water fast. I don't know how he did it, but all kinds of amazing benefits when you don't eat anything at all. Elimination of foods give your body a rest and you can get great benefits. However, when we're talking about a long-term diet, something we're going to stay on for our life, veganism is not a healthy diet. Plants alone are not healthy. There's many weaknesses in a plant-only diet. I love plants, I love vegetables, I love fruit, I want plenty of them in my diet, but only that is a big problem. Okay, so how we change our pH in our blood is to avoid toxins and remove toxins. That's the prime thing. Okay, and then breathing correctly. So when you're sick, you can see that in the breathing. Okay, so as you're sick, you will breathe faster and shallower. Okay, that's just a consequence of a weakened body. Okay, so you can tell just from the breathing that somebody is sick. So that is not a healthy way to breathe. Okay, so you need to be breathing much more deeply, not the shallow fast breaths, but the deep slow breaths. And you get many disciplines that teach this kind of breathing, and you can even buy certain little machines to help with breathing correctly. So breathing really helps to produce the bicarbonate, which is going to help off acidity, but there's a limit to how far that can go if you're too toxic. So you have to deal with the toxins. Okay, so I hope that helps. If there's any questions, please just ask, and I will get back to you. But I hope that I've clarified some of the thinking on that, because, as I say, there is so much misinformation on this subject all over Facebook, the alkaline diet, so-called, which might be. Let's not even go any further. Okay, so I'm going to end there. Okay, thank you very much. And as I say, any questions, I will get back to you.